What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Two Goat Show. We're your host, Mariah and Steph. Steph, happy Two Goat Thursday. Good to see you. It's been a couple weeks. But we back. Good to see you. How you doing?
We back. Last Thursday was a pretty good one too, though, Mariah. Gotta say. So hopefully this Thursday and this Sunday is also a good one.
Yep. Last Thursday, we didn't have a show because Steph was at the game. Well, actually, we normally wait to talk about the games till, the middle and end of the show, but we are going to start out this week talking about Thursday's game since it was so long ago now. But it was so good, so we have to touch on it. So many good things happened in that game. And I'm sure if we would have had a show, Steph, we do our score predictions every week. Probably, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm 80% sure that both of us would have probably had the 49ers losing that one in our score prediction. I don't know, but, most of the world that watches football had the 49ers losing that game, I think. Um, and man, at some points, like, I thought, okay, it's going to happen. And, like, thinking about it, like, I was thinking, and I'm like, if we would have had that same exact game down to every single play until like the last 3 minutes, right? Last year, we would have lost that game.
Yeah.
Like, and like, what a difference Robert Saleh makes. Like, and we could say that about so many games already. We've only played 5 games this season, and 3, 4 maybe of them, we can say those games we would have lost last season because our defense wouldn't have came down and made the plays at the end to save our ass. Because our defense was ass. Our defensive coordinator was ass. Like everything about our defense was shit. They weren't saving us at all the last couple of years. And now, like we have that defense where, like, I don't feel like even though I may have in my score prediction, and I don't know, maybe I would have guessed the 49ers. Like I never even thought about it because we didn't do a show. Um, but just the way everything was looking towards that game, Um, but I would never have got into a game this season and thought, I don't think our defense is going to save us. Like, and there was so many times in that Rams game, and I even tweeted it out, like the defense is fucking selling. Like, what is going on? And sure enough, they still came and saved our ass at the end. It's just like, man, like what a difference that good coaching matters. Like, holy hell. Who would have thought? But yeah, I'm gonna get your thoughts on it real quick. Chat, what's up? How you guys doing? Happy to go Thursday. Hope everybody's doing great. I know it's been a couple weeks, so I hope everybody's doing healthy, wealthy, wise, all that. Hope you guys are awesome. But Steph, give me your thoughts. Obviously, Eddie P, like holy shit, we have a kicker. NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, Eddie P. That is Steph. Um, Let me look through the Mac. Like literally, I thought the guy was gonna die out there on the field so many times, and yet he just kept coming back, coming back, coming back. And Steph, like one of my thoughts, and even as we signed back to the 49ers, I always go back to picturing him like, and obviously because I wasn't watching Pat's games, like, and watching wherever the Jags when he played for them, like I wasn't watching those games, right? So like the only time I ever saw videos or clips of him, it's just what people are putting out on social media, and obviously they're putting the craziest shit out, right? So like the clips I'd always see of him were like him whining and crying and throwing tantrums and getting hurt and with the ugliest faces crying out on the field and have to be carried back into the locker room like looking like the biggest freaking weenie they could have made him look like. And I don't know if it just changed since he came with the 49ers or what, but like so far from the opposite of the way that I perceived Mac Jones to be. Like I thought this guy was the biggest freaking wimp that was ever going to suit up for the 49ers. And man, like he's taken more of a beating than I can ever remember any quarterback taking for us, and keeps trucking right back in. Like I thought he was going to have one arm left and like one foot left. Like puking his gut, like eating fucking bananas, like it's the craziest shit. And yet he's coming back into the game over and over and over. Um, and like the competition, the real quick before I turn over to you, just so I don't forget, the Stafford and Fred Warner, like what a treat watching those two just go against each other. Like we're like witnessing like some of the best quarterback play versus some of the best linebacker play, and them trying to fool each other, and just such so the game, it was just so good, and between division rivals, like it just ended up being such a great game. Shanahan, can we talk about like one of the best games like that he's coached? Like coach of the year, can he win that finally? Like, can we give the guy some fucking credit finally? Steph, you were there in person. Talk to me about it. How was it?
Man, yeah. I mean, it was electric. This team showed me something new, and I agree that it was like so far through even the first 3 weeks before this, or 4 weeks before this week 5 game against the Rams. Like, I did feel like there was a 180 difference from the previous year. I mean, you could look at the obvious things like the defense, obviously being coached better, but I think the main takeaway is that it's a team that can win gritty, and win is, I guess, the key word, because and finish, I think is a key word, because the 49ers team from last year could not finish. It actually is not reminiscent, but it reminded me of the early 2024 game against the Rams, in which that was also not a shootout, but it was like higher scoring. And the 49ers were playing great throughout that game. Like Brock Purdy had like 3 touchdowns in that one, and they still found a way to lose towards the end of the game, right? Like it was just I was sick after that, watching that one. Like
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even fathom how they were able to lose it at the end. So that just looked like a team that had no fight at the end. And you contrast that to what we saw last Thursday. It's like they got something. They got something worth fighting for. You see it on everyone, especially on like the defensive side. They have a new identity with Robert Saleh, that they actually want to play for him, and all that. So yeah, I think it was really encouraging, and also funny too, because you look back at that game and you say, yeah, they lost because of defense. They lost because of special teams. Like Jake Moody missed a kick. Like
Mm-hmm.
you see how clutch Eddie Pinheiro was in the game last Thursday. So it's like, yeah, some things are completely different, that it's allowing the 49ers to actually come away with these wins, even with the offense hurting with some injuries, and the defense being without Nick Bosa. Like they're still finding a way. I think that's really encouraging. And on Mac Jones, I mean, yeah, I think the Pats did him dirty. I think there were a lot of good glimpses in his rookie season, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. But they just didn't do anything to help him out. Like their offensive line was atrocious. They left them out to dry, basically. And maybe you started to see that reflected on him a little bit. Like he maybe he sensed that, and just didn't like it. Again, that was like the end of Bill Belichick years as
Yeah.
well. Just a weird time. Not sure exactly what was going on there, but it just wasn't a good situation for him to be in ultimately.
Taking
And
over for Brady, like that was
yeah,
never gonna be easy, Like, didn't one of those years he didn't even have a real OC. It was like a DC that they freaking had in there as an OC. Like they did
yeah,
not do
I
him any
mean,
favors, that's for sure.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that weighed on him, mentally. And also, like, I mean, honestly, I remember him coming out of Alabama. There were like questions on his maturity, right? So
Yeah.
maybe like it was the combination of that with just that being his first team. I think him being a few years older, him wanting a change of scenery and embracing the change of scenery has obviously done well for him. Coming to San Francisco, being with a great system, with a great culture, with a great quarterback in Brock Purdy, right? That's like a good example for, guys who are coming in here and wanting to rehab their careers, just like Sam Darnold talks about Brock Purdy like very highly, and how Brock, a younger quarterback than him, like kind of teaching him how to, play quarterback in this league and what it takes and things like that. Just always find that a little funny, but I think it's true. I think there's some things about Brock, the intangibles about him that, other quarterbacks that maybe haven't come from the greatest places and didn't quite get that kind of out of their coaching. Like they can learn some things coming to San Francisco. So yeah, I think it's been great for him. Like he just looks comfortable. He looks happy.
Mhm.
Like he's being himself, which is funny too. Cause like if he were like the starting quarterback, like I think you'd look at some of the things he does and you'd be like, some people would be like, I don't like my starting quarterback acting this way or doing this,
Yeah.
but because he's the backup and he's just like coming in for Brock, it's like, I love this guy, like
Mhm.
everyone's charmed with, just the way he acts and his mannerisms right now. And I think he's also just gaining the respect of everyone too, just based off of the hits that he's taking. He, last two games playing on a hobbled knee and
Yeah.
still going out there, still taking hits and really not complaining about it at all. Like it just looks like he's unfazed by it and still going out there and executing. So
And
yeah,
winning.
and
At the end of the
winning,
day,
most
winning.
most
Like,
importantly,
yeah.
winning. Yeah, no, it's been great. Like I'm a huge fan of Mac Jones as a Niner, and yeah, we'll see him again. We'll see him again on Sunday. It looks like.
I never thought a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I would ever say, like, I'm happy Mac Jones is a 49er. Like, never in a million. I was hashtag anyone but Mac. Okay. Like, let's not forget. I didn't give a shit who we drafted. Just don't draft fucking Mac Jones. And now it's like, wow, like this guy's all right. Like he ain't that bad. But yeah, at the end of the day, like you're coming in and winning. Like, that's all we care. I don't care how you're doing it, what it looks like. You're protecting the football and you're winning.
Yeah,
Like the two things like we need you to do, right? So shit. As long as if however long it takes Brock to get healthy, as long as Mac's winning, take all the time you need, Brock.
yeah,
But
exactly.
that changes. You better get your little ass back in there, buddy. um, that play by Alfred. A lot of guys talked on that this week. Fred, being the punch out king that he is, talked about, that being one of the best plays and punch outs that he's ever seen. Um, CMC even said that's one of the best plays he's ever seen. Sala talked on it and said one of the most impressive individual, like violent efforts that he's ever seen by a football player. Not even by a rookie, by a football player. Like high praises by those around him. And like, going into the season, we talked about so much about how this rookie class and this, these young guys, like we really needed them to step up because we're relying on a lot of these guys, right? And now even with Nick Bosa going down, we're relying on a lot of those D line guys, even more so. And man, like I'm pretty impressed, so far through these 5 games with that draft class because, it's not easy. Like these are the times that they're having their growing pains, they're still learning, they're, all that. And we're relying on them so much. And, for the most part, like they're doing a damn good job out there. Um, so yeah, hats off to like a whole team effort. Like that game
Mhm.
was a gritty ass freaking, as always the games are with the Rams, right? Um and coming down to the end and they got it done. So like through all this stuff, like all these injuries, every show, every post we make on social media, I swear is like about injuries, 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 injuries. Like everybody, like even national media, in their segments talking about the most injured teams, 49ers right up there at the top, right? Like, and like I said, everybody's counting us out, like didn't expect us to win that game against the Rams. The same. Most people are counting us out this week, And it's okay, like we're injured. You're not expecting all these players to step up, but like throughout this one, like to look at this team and be 4-1, like you, I couldn't expect or hope for anything better, like holy shit, like man, these guys, that whole next man up thing, like this team has really taken that on, and these guys have, you know, been ready when their name's called. Like we got guys coming off the practice squad each week coming in, playing, meaningful snaps. It's like so many, Eddie P was watching football on his couch with us at the beginning of the season, and now he's coming in hitting game winners in overtime, and just like so many people stepping up. But like I don't looks like this injury thing ain't gonna end anytime soon, Steph. Like
No.
I'm watching before the show, I'm watching the press conference from Kyle yesterday, right? And it starts off the beginning listing all the injuries, and he's just going on and on and on, and it's just like, oh my god, like like so happy. Let's start off with the good. Um, Two players, we had their practice windows open, with Mustafa and Kevin Givens. I haven't really heard too much. I don't know if you've heard anything on Kevin Givens practicing this week, but Mustafa, for it sounds like, anyways, from all reports that I've heard, that he should most likely be playing this week, right? And what a huge, like if he can come back and look like the player, and obviously, hopefully, I'm not expecting in these first games, that he's going to be better than he was last season, but eventually be better, right? Because he's going to grow. He was just a rookie last season. Like this defense, whew, watch out now. Um, because like, and under Robert Saleh, like he was playing like that under Bum Victor Bum, and now he's going to be playing under Robert Saleh, an actual DC. Like, um, give me your thoughts on let's start off with the good news that we have. Give me your thoughts on him coming back, and whose place do you see him taking in the starting lineup?
Yeah, so I'll start with Kevin Givens. So as of yesterday, Kevin Givens was a limited participant, and I think we just got the injury report for today's practice as well. Kevin Givens limited participant again.
Okay.
Um, Malik Mustafa has been a full participant both practices this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me that's a really good sign that he's going to be suiting up on Sunday, and I think that's huge, right? Like this secondary without Nick Bosa, or this without the defense having Nick Bosa, the secondary I think we've seen is getting tested a little bit more, and they were already getting tested even before then because there's a lot of youth in that group. But I think with Mustafa coming back, if he's anywhere close to what he was last year, right? Like I think we feel good about what he's going to be bringing, especially as a guy who can, go downhill, get the ball. He's a missile out there, right? And just kind of helps lay the groundwork and set the tone for the defense, right? So having him back, I think, is huge. I think also it's huge because, in my opinion, Jason Pinnock's going to the bench. That's who should be going to the bench. Say what you want about Siegel and the coverage stuff. I think Siegel has been good, and he could get better in coverage, but by no means should he be benched. I'd rather have a rookie out there who has room to grow than a veteran that making some mistakes too and not quite as at the level you would expect him to be. So I would go Mustafa over Pinnock, and Pinnock probably just stays as a special teams guy, and that be it. But yeah, I feel good about Mustafa coming back. That's definitely on the brighter side of news, I guess.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the injuries. So let me pull up because I'm looking at Nick Wagner's. He said, there's not that many changes from yesterday. So let's start off with yesterday's, the whole damn list that Kyle went through. So for yesterday, and pretty much the same today. I'll let you know the couple that changed for today. But so DNP, Purdy, Pearsall, Jennings, Jordan Watkins, which so strange. Like even he tweeted like that he was coming back, so excited. He came back for like a few practices and then been hurt ever since. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Um, Robert Beal, Alfred Collins, Udiger Smatos, Trent Williams was on a vet day, and CMC was on a vet day. Then limited was Mac Jones, CJ West, Upton Stout, Kevin Givens, and Kalia Davis. So then today, Wagner says the only changes from yesterday are Alfred Collins and Jennings moved from DMP to limited. So at least we're getting a little bit better there. Mac Jones still limited, and then Trent Williams and CMC, they were just on vet days, so they returned to practice today. Steph. Now, the only thing that makes me feel okay about this Mac Jones situation is that we just seen him play through every freaking injury known to man last week, right? And then when John Lynch did his weekly thingamajigger this morning, like he didn't seem like he was concerned about Mac Jones
Right.
missing this week, right? That I mean, from the way I took it.
Got that same sense.
Okay, so your thoughts on all these injuries, Steph?
I will start with Mac Jones, though. I guess, like, yes, it's good that he's limited. What is kind of concerning me is the oblique injury, because anywhere in your midsection, if you're an athlete at all that has to move, you always have to move when you're an athlete, especially when you're a quarterback, to get that like torque going. That's a little concerning to me, but I think the fact that, like you said, John Lynch did say they feel good about where Mac Jones is at right now, so they're keeping him limited, I guess, is fine. I just saw like a clip, right, of him practicing today, and he was barely throwing, so hopefully he can go into this game with not a lot of practice time and still be fine. But what you worry about too is re-aggravating, if he gets hit again, like he's been getting hit these last couple of weeks. How is it going to react? Is it going to worsen? Is it going to get to the point where he can't go in any longer? That would be my concern with Mac Jones. This is a Bucs defense that does like to blitz. They like to get after the quarterback. They're aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
So, and knowing that Mac Jones is dealing with injuries the last couple weeks, and knowing that dude's on the cusp of being out of the game himself, just like we saw last week. We're this close to Adrian Martinez, right? Like, I think the Bucs are gonna try to see what they could do. I'm not saying it's the bounty gate, but let's face it, opposing defenses are very much aware of injuries on the other side, and they will try to test that and see what you can take. So that's my concern with Mac Jones, right? But everything else, I feel like I was originally a little concerned about Alfred Collins, but yes, the fact that he was upgraded to limited participant today is a good sign. I saw he was wearing a knee brace, so as long as he feels comfortable playing with that on Sunday, I think he should be good to go, and I feel great about that. Kevin Givens coming back and already being limited, I think, is maybe a good sign, but we'll see how it goes the rest of the week as well. Hopefully, let's see, CJ West, I do expect will be able to go. He's just been limited with his thumb, but he played with it last week, right? So I think he'll be fine. And then who's the other? Kalia Davis, kind of similar, not a thumb, but a broken hand, also playing with the club. Remember CJ West, when he first had his thumb surgery, he missed one game. So I don't know if we could expect the same for Kalia Davis. He's been limited this week, right? So I don't know if that means he's trending on the better side of it, but something to keep an eye on. Hopefully. They need help, right? At defensive tackle, there's a lot of guys hurt at the interior. You're already without Nick Bosa, right? So you need bodies, you need guys. So that's my concern, just what the interior of this defensive line is going to look like. And then, Yetur Gross-Matos is going to miss a few weeks, right? Like that's that's concerning to me as far as the pass rush goes. I expect Baker Mayfield to have all day to throw. I really do.
which is
We're
scary.
Yeah. I mean, it was similar in sometimes with Stafford too. Like Stafford had a lot of time to throw. The difference with Stafford is that this season he's just been getting the ball out a little quick anyway. But yeah, Baker will take his time, especially because he likes to get, you know, explosive plays. Like him and Ibuka have been connecting a lot downfield. So that would be my concern in this game. And that's how it all goes back to the secondary, right? In the
Mhm.
secondary, having to kind of play coverage. Like they need to be on their P's and Q's on the back end. So, that's really what it will come down to.
Um, let's talk a little bit about Mac and Brock before we move on to this game. This has been every time I pull open Twitter stuff, I'm seeing people discussing, oh, we should trade Brock or, Mac's the guy, Mac. Like so many people are now on this Mac train, especially people that were never on the Brock train to begin with, right? Um, Now, obviously, there's a lot of reasons to like both guys, right? We just talked about, Mac is playing through all these injuries, is standing there tough, doing what he needs to do, not turning the ball over. That's one of the biggest things I see people talking about is Brock's turnovers compared to Mac's turnovers. Brock, doing it with the Avengers compared to Mac doing it with the whoever's, and all this. So, of end Brock making all this money and obviously Mac not, right? So let me talk. Give me your thoughts, Steph. Kyle was asked if there was, any thought about putting Brock on IR. He said no. John Lynch was asked, about Brock, whether he'll be back next week or whatever. And he said he's not going to comment on when Brock's return is, but they would like him to be at 100% before he returns. Obviously, with Mac winning right now, it affords Brock the time to get healthy, right? Now, does that change if all of a sudden Mac starts losing? Um, the faithful then turn on Mac and Brock's going to be the guy again. I don't know, Steph. Give me your thoughts. Are we is Brock still, the 49ers future, the guy? Are we now questioning because of what Mac's doing? Where are you at with this whole quarterback discussion?
I'll start by saying Brock Purdy is still the 49ers QB1 until, like, as long as he's financially tied to being the QB1, and he is, right? Like, that is a large number on a deal that he just got. Like, I mean, you could think what you want about Brock, but like, money talks. Money's going to make some decisions. And so, I mean, regardless, I think that's what it's going to be. But right now, what's happening is Mac Jones is winning games. He's not turning the ball over. He's looked really good. It's affording the 49ers the opportunity to let Brock heal at 100%. Now, this is a double-edged sword because it also means that it gives Mac Jones the opportunity to cook and look good in in Brock Purdy's absence. And then suddenly you start to hear people talking, at least his fan base does, because we're never satisfied at quarterback, no matter who's back there. And I mean, but it comes with the territory. Like, that's just what it is, especially after, kind of like what you said. It's people, the majority of it is people who weren't big Brock Purdy fans to begin with, or just weren't fans of him getting the big contract, whatever it is. But again, like, this is a league that makes decisions based on money, so I think what would you be your proposal? Not yours, literally, Mariah's, but anyone's proposal who's like they should just go with Mac. Like, what are you gonna do with Brock Purdy and his contract? Like that doesn't just go away, and then you look stupid because the quarterback you just paid a bunch of money to is sitting on the bench. Like even when he's 100% healthy, like no. And by the way, I think it's premature to have this conversation of it actually being like a quarterback controversy. I think if Mac continues to win these games, and this is just yet another big challenge that he has in front of him right now against the Bucks, right? He surprised me against the Rams. I think we all agree he played great in that game, did what he needed to do. He took a lot of hits. He looked like he deserves a starting role somewhere. So if he continues to do that, if he beats the Bucks, I mean that's a hell of a statement, right? Whether it's one he wants to make or not. I mean, he seems to be uh pretty happy with being the backup, or at least, of course that's what he's going to say. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how far this goes, right, with Mac. But at the same time, I'm just happy with whoever's under center that is capable of helping this team win games. And as of right now, that quarterback just happens to be Mac Jones. So there's nothing wrong with rallying behind Mac Jones and having support for him if that means it's because the 49ers are winning games. We're fans of the 49ers. We want them to win games. Like, I don't care
Yeah.
who it is back there. Just come away with the win. But yeah, at some point, I mean, if Mac loses a game, like people will probably just be like, oh, okay, I guess that's over. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do hope Brock is paying attention though, because the turnover thing has become an issue for Brock,
Yeah.
and it's starting to become an issue for me and all of us. So
You hear that? When it's an issue for Steph, it's an issue for all of us.
an issue.
Okay. And that was one of the things like we all liked about Brock to begin with, was that he didn't
Yeah.
turn the ball over. And
Yeah.
now, yeah, so
It's
but
interesting.
yeah, Max always quick, like he has been asked about it every single week, something about Brock. And he's quick to say, this is Brock's team. I'm here as the backup. Like, pretty much like, don't be bringing me into your guys' freaking drama, okay? Like, just let me do my job. And then John Lynch was, when he was asked about it today, had said a cool quality about Brock Purdy is he's one of the most self-assured, humble people. It's one of the things that appealed to us. I think we all feel fortunate that we found a backup who can go in and play like a starter and earn us tough, hard fought wins. So,
Can I say one
yeah,
more thing on the Mac
yeah, of
front though?
course,
Because like saw someone else say like Lunacy said Mac will have to get paid as well eventually. And then Callie said there's going to be some quarterback thirsty teams out there this offseason. Yes and yes. I mean, the 49ers are in such a good situation. This makes John Lynch look like a genius, bringing Mac Jones in right now. Because at the very worst, you keep Mac Jones for the duration of his contract, which was 2 years. So if you want him to stay past the season, which I mean, the fact that he's had to play this many games already, like you might want to just keep
yeah,
him around. I don't know. Like I don't know where that's
yeah,
going, but like it's not a bad idea. And then at worst, he ends up getting a big deal somewhere else, and you get a third round comp pick. Like that's a great situation. Other situation, which is even better, you trade him this offseason and you get I think the way he's playing right now, you get at least a second. Like a second, right? Like is that
yeah.
like what we're feeling right now? A second. If he keeps it up, if he beats the Bucks, I mean, I don't know. Might go crazy and say a first, but that's a great situation for the 49ers to be in any case. So no matter what, we're playing with fool's gold here.
Yeah,
Found money, I should say.
you
Found money.
you make a good point about keeping him around because we've been talking a lot about Brock getting injured over and over and over since he's been the starter. So yeah, maybe it would do us good to have a good backup since he's already played more games than our starter this season, and that looks to continue.
Oh wait, you muted yourself. I saw like she hit something and I heard like a noise and then it just went silent. She don't even know what she hit, y'all. We gonna be here a while. I still can't hear you. Oh my god. How did you do this?
I don't
There we
know.
go. There she is.
Yeah. What the hell? Because they're not the mute
Maybe
button's
the
up here.
cord just needed to
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
tighten
That's
up.
weird.
I don't know.
Let's talk about trading for some assistance on this D line stuff. Obviously, the faithful are going crazy about all these different players they want to trade for. When Kyle was asked about it, he pretty much said, yeah, we're open to making a trade, but we want somebody that's going to help us this year without hurting us next year,
Yeah.
which I think we would all like that, right? Like in the perfect world, that's what we want. But when John Lynch was asked about it, he says, I'm having a lot of conversations, a lot of good and productive ones. If we find a way to make our football team better and it aligns, then we will not be shy on pulling the trigger. Steph, pulling the trigger. Who? What? When? How? Who we looking at, Steph? We need some help on this D line. And they just every game more and more are dropping. Like we can't make it through one game without losing a D line player or two or three. Like it's getting crazy. So like maybe a couple trades, like a bigger name guy and then some depth pieces would be great too. Like can we get all that? There has to be some sellers. We got some teams that are already looking like shit, and we still have a few weeks to go to make this happen, right? So some of these teams will continue to fall and become bigger and bigger sellers as we get closer to the trade deadline. In a perfect world, Steph, who we add into this team?
All right, so I'll say this. I think based on Kyle Shanahan's comments the other day, uh, it seems to me they don't feel like they're just one player away from being like a Super Bowl contending team. And with that, I don't think they go for a blockbuster Trey Hendrickson type of trade to fix the defensive line problem. I do think they're obviously looking for an edge rusher, but probably one that makes sense. And then I think that's the part of Kyle's quote that says someone who doesn't hurt us next year is directly related to that. Someone who's not going to break the bank for us next year, right? Or who's not on a 2-year deal, like who would just be a rental, right? We don't have to worry about paying them. So I think that kind of narrows, what you're looking for a little bit more. From the guys who are free agents next season, there's a list of names, but then you also have to look, you narrow it down even further to teams who would be even willing to be sellers, right? Well, there are still some names there. There's Arden Key, I think makes the most sense from the 49ers standpoint. Already familiar with your system, wouldn't cost you a lot. He's a free agent after this season, so would be a rental, but again, a rental that wouldn't take too much compensation to get done. He's with the Titans currently, so that's an option. And then, I mean, we'll see. Like Baltimore, would they let go of Van Noy? I don't know. Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins is another name you hear quite a bit. So there's options out there. The question is, like, again, as both Kyle and John Lynch have been saying, like it has to make sense for those teams as well.
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb, another name, as Vish says. So yeah, I mean, there's some options, but it will just, I guess, take some work figuring that out with the other teams. But I think they know they have to get something done because, to your point, you got a lot of defensive linemen who are, kind of MIA right now. Not just edge rushers, but you do know that Yetur Gross-Matos is going to miss a couple weeks as well. So I still think pass rusher is the biggest need. You have a lot of defensive tackles like Michael and Alfred Collins, who can work in there too. But they're banked up a bit too. If they can't get something done for a pass rusher, then they probably just bring in another defensive tackle, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I think it has to be a pass rusher.
Maybe we can do both. Why not both? Why not both, Steph? Bring them
Well,
all in. Shit. We need all the help we can get on the D line right now.
yeah.
Like, man, I remember at the beginning of the season, so long ago, when I was so happy that we were getting speed across from Nick Bosa and how wonderful it was going to be. And then all came crashing down. Let's talk about this Tampa Bay game, Steph. I'm more worried about this game, I think, than I was about the Rams game.
Hmm.
And I think it's just because, like, first of all, their defense is great. Baker is playing extremely well football right now, like extremely well. You talk about the rookie wide receiver, like holy shit, like are we going to be able to stop that? Like, are we going to have like 15 pass interference penalties? Like that's my worry right there. um, I, I don't know, Steph. I'm just like I feel as much as I, talked about like, having the confidence in our defense to come through. I just don't know if it's going to even be that close of a game to be able to have the confidence in our defense to come through. So like we had to rely now. Remember, and we're going to be probably in the same situation again. We had to rely on Kendrick Bourne to have the best game of his entire life for us to beat the Rams because we literally
Mhm.
have no wide receivers on our team healthy. And thank goodness for Kendrick Bourne. Like I forgot to even give him a shout out because my fantasy team as well is looking like the 49ers team and had no healthy wide receivers. They either all hurt or on a bye last week. So I had to pick up Kendrick Bourne on 3 of my fantasy teams and holy shit did he come through. Like I greatly appreciate it. Because I thought I was going to be losing all of those games and the 49ers game as well last week. And, thank goodness for Kendrick Bourne. But, like, is he going to have the best game of his life again this week? Like, I don't know. I just, I don't know, Steph. Talk to me. Maybe you can make me feel a little bit better. How you feeling about this game? Yeah, let's start there, and then I'll ask you some more in-depth questions about it.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be you're basically just having to fight off a lot of points coming from the Buck side because you know that Baker and this offense can score, you know, almost at will. Like they just been on one even without Mike Evans. You see Baker getting even more comfortable with Amika Buka. So he's a problem as someone in the chat was saying. I think that's the biggest challenge of the week is just trying to stop the leak on the defensive side this week. It's going to be a bigger challenge than I think it was last week. A couple people in the chat also pointed out, Baker more dangerous than Stafford. Well, you think, okay, well, why? Well, Baker can actually, he's a little more mobile, like out of the pocket if he needs to be. He won't hesitate to, go off on a scramble if he needs to pick up,
Yeah.
the yardage. And then also just the fact that I expect he's going to have a lot of time to throw. That's going to free up that underneath stuff for him to take off. That's what I'm worried about most.
Mhm.
Like you really need to make sure you're not getting stretched too far, where you're giving up the scrambles underneath. We do probably see that a few times, but hopefully there's our linebackers are pretty good, pretty fast. We got, you know, safeties who can, like I said, move downhill and they can come downhill quick, but just something to keep an eye on because they're going to be making sure that these wide receivers don't beat them over the top. So, yeah, it's definitely concerning. And so the question really becomes if both defenses are a little banged up and both defenses are going to be giving up a lot of points, well, which offense is more capable of scoring more points? That's where I think fairly so we are worried about the 49ers offense being able to keep up, right?
Yeah.
And I was pretty impressed with Kyle Shanahan's game plan and just like the opening script that he had against the Rams, going up 14-0, like he had it in him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he found the way to get those scores and move the ball downfield. Um, and so I think part of that has to do with the fact that it's the Rams and you're pretty familiar with, how they defend this time, with the Bucks. Although, I think Kyle Shanahan has had some good games against Todd Bowles and his defense as well. So there's some familiarity there already, which can help. But yeah, I guess like we're just wondering, okay, they were able to beat one team with some injuries. Can they beat two and maybe be able to score more points than they did last week? That's where I don't know, right? The 49ers also don't have a run game, so that's not helping them either.
Exactly.
So if the 49ers get Juwan Jennings this week, I'll feel better. Like I'll feel better if it's not just the Kendrick Bourne show
Yeah.
and you got someone else that could, be a bit more of a threat. And then Christian McCaffrey, like I'm not worried about him. Like he's gonna be running routes out there. But yeah, you're gonna be one dimensional once again, and you got to keep Mac Jones upright. Can they do that? So yeah, I think it's fair to say that this game is a little more concerning than last week. Last week's game a little more important because it was within our division, but this is a conference
Mm-hmm.
game as well, so still important. Two teams that are 4-1. These could have implications for playoff seedings down the line. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad though. I wouldn't be mad if they dropped this one and just. I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying like a valiant effort. Like
Yeah.
I think they'll give it a good fight, and that's really all I want to see. I don't want to see them fold and just wave the white flag. I want to see if they could keep up, and maybe in the fourth quarter they just run out of gas kind of thing. Like I'd still feel good about that kind of performance. But we'll see. And, honestly, this defense has been surprising us. We'll see if they
Yeah.
got some plays in them. Could they get an interception this week, first of the season? I don't know, but it'd be a good time to start.
I still cannot believe we have gone this long without an interception. Like, even going back into last season, like it's been so many weeks that we've have gone without an interception now. It's crazy. But yeah, that's my biggest worry is that, Mac Jones is already so banged up. Like, he's not even fully practicing, like, banged up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we see, like, he probably has so many injuries to different parts of his body. Like, they can't even list all the different things on there because literally, like, every time he went in, I felt like he got another injury last week. Like, every freaking drive, he came out with another injury. It's like, holy shit. So he's already all banged up, right? Our run game is like non-existent. And then match that with going against the number one run defense. Let's tie that
Yeah.
together. Yeah, like we couldn't even run against anybody yet, and so it ain't gonna start now against them. Which I don't know, like why? What is up with the run game? Why are we just still relying? Like I could have sworn we made a trade for a running back. Are we gonna try to let him ever get going, or we're
The
just
blocking,
gonna
it's not a
like?
CMC problem. I can tell you that. It's the blocking just hasn't been there. It's not consistent. Um, just not as strong as it used to be. And I don't know if George Kittle could even fix it entirely on his
Yeah.
own. He'll help, but I think it's a multiplayer kind of thing.
Yeah, being down our blocking wide receivers don't help either. So yeah. And just the fact that this team never wants to invest in an O line, like the faithful been trying to scream for the last freaking 10 years, but it seems like we want that more than the 49ers want that for some reason. But so yeah, that's my worry. We have no run game. We have like hardly any wide receivers. So we're going to rely on Mac to throw 40 plus times again. And he's already like, there's only half of him as it is, So it's like you're throwing to half a team. You're a half a man. You have no run game. You're going against a great defense. and you're going to need to consistently put up points to compete like with against them, like it's just I hope and of course that we can come away with this dub. But like you said, Steph, I definitely felt like it was more important to get the win against the Rams, obviously. But being, at the top of the NFC against this team, it would be nice to come away with the dub here as well. Steph, give me the matchups in this game that you think favor the 49ers that they could take advantage of, and the ones that aren't so favorable.
Yeah, I haven't thought entirely too much on this. I do this in my show on my previous show on Friday. I know which ones I'm concerned about. I think that we did talk about. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just take one from the chat. Someone said their right tackle's not very good. But the concern I'd have with that again is just like Baker's scrambling ability. So,
Yeah.
um, but I think also the one thing to keep an eye on, the Bucks defense little banged up. Like last week they were missing a couple of their corners. Zion McCollum still not practicing, or he was added to the practice, did not practice this week. And then Benjamin Morrison also hasn't been practicing, so he could be out too. But they did get Jamel Dean back in limited fashion in practice, so he might be back. But something to keep an eye on, because if like they got 2-3 of their corners missing, like there's your favorable matchup right there. Suddenly you feel better about, Christian McCaffrey and possibly Jennings out there. Christian McCaffrey is a favorable matchup, I think. No matter what, you get him to ball. You use him to create gravity and create, a distraction, eye candy, and you open things up for other people. Or you give him the ball just because he's so good. Everyone knows he's going to get the ball, and he'll still get it because he's Christian McCaffrey, kind of thing. So yeah, I think those kind of are a couple things top of mind. Also, like what Jess said earlier about blitzing. They do blitz a lot, right? I did mention that earlier. The fact that they blitz could maybe open up some screens, but by God, can you guys just block well on these screens? Like, please, like, because if they could block, then those screens, we've seen it, like they can
Yeah.
be some really big plays, if these guys could just block the whole way through. So maybe you see that a little bit more. I have no doubt, Kyle Shanahan's going to have a good plan for the offense, but yeah, it's just a matter of, can he stay upright? He'll need to get the ball out quick. He did that great last week,
Yeah.
so I have no worries about that.
Steph, player of the game, offense, defense, and give me that score prediction.
Okay. Defense, I say Fred gets his interception this week.
Oh my God!
I need to
Please,
speak it into existence, because he's been so close so many times. Um,
please.
and Baker's actually, he's been taking care of the football. He hasn't. I think he's only thrown one interception. So
So it'll be even that much better.
yeah, yeah. But Fred is just, he's Fred. It's coming. It's coming eventually. It'd be great if it were this week.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive player.
I wish for once we could say an offensive player as an O lineman, like like that'd be so
Who's
great.
ever going to
Like,
say that, Mariah? Even if we had like a good offensive line, no one's
like
saying
we
an
can't even
offensive
say
line.
Trent Williams anymore. Like
When would you ever say that? Like,
we could have,
that's
we
so
could have, and we can't now, Steph.
okay,
Okay.
okay, okay. I'm
Damn it.
gonna say Mac Jones, because anytime he's played, I'm like, he's been one of the best players on the field for the offense, if not the best player on the field for the offense. So I'm gonna say Mac Jones. That
Okay.
one feels easy. I do like the Tunjas pick though from Lori. That's a sneaky one.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, my score prediction.
We've
Oh
had
shoot.
some players, like some unexpected, players that step up each game. Like, and even he brought this up last week after the game, but like KB having all the
Yeah,
drops, the
blew
week
up.
before. Like,
Hmm.
like I was sick to my stomach having to put him on my fantasy team because I'm like, this motherfucker gonna put me in the negatives, like because he's dropping the freaking ball so much. And then he comes through and all of a sudden it's Superman, and it's just like, we have guys that have never made a catch before in the history of their playing career, and all of a sudden they're catching touchdowns, and winning the game for us. Like a kicker coming off his couch, winning the game for us. It's just like each week it's the unexpected, guy that's just like stepping up and like really coming through for this team right now. And I think that's what's made, so far in this season, like so cool. Like, because like we could have all been down and out, like, oh, our team's ass, like we're all injured, like all of our stars are hurt. We're having to watch, Joe, Jim, Bob, and Tom from next door play. Like, this is going to be a shitty season. And then all of a sudden, like all these guys are coming out and like really playing for one another. And not just for one another, but they make sure that every single, and shout out the faithful, like holy shit. Like I forgot to bring this up, but like just again, completely fucking taking over LA. Like they should be, the Rams fans should be fucking embarrassed. Like I would be so embarrassed if my home stadium looked like that. Like you're like I could there was hardly any blue in that stadium, Steph.
There
Like
aren't.
where were the
Mariah,
fucking Rams fans?
Mariah, there aren't any fans to be embarrassed. Like, which fans are going to be embarrassed? They don't have any. And yes, they pump noise in there. Like,
That's
it's so
embarrassing.
obvious.
Like
It's yeah, it's
yeah,
pathetic.
because they were showing videos and
Pathetic.
it's like all Rams fans, but yet it's like, I mean, it's all 49ers fans, but it's supposedly the Rams fans cheering at the time. And it's like you see all five Rams fans and they're just like,
Swear, I saw that so many times in my section. Like, no Rams fans in my area were cheering at all, and they claimed it was like over 100 dB. For it to be at over 100 dB, like you need to see like 80% of people
yeah,
cheering. I feel like, and no, there was none of that. There was
from
maybe
the
eight
from the
percent.
faithful.
Yeah, yeah, from the faithful. Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, look for them to take over Tampa Bay. But I brought all that to say that every time these 49ers players are in their interview and they're talking about, like we're coming together, stepping up, the next man up, we're playing for each other, they always, we're playing for the faithful, we're playing for the fans. Like they're so bought into just having everybody like involved in this, and it's like you guys like you guys that go to these games and shit, like you're making a freaking difference. So continue to show up for these, road games because, like a lot of too, like a lot of people, oh, a lot of fan bases, oh, Kittle's not playing, Brock's not playing, this guy's not playing. I'm not going to watch this team. Like, like you're paying all this money, you're going to watch the stars. Like other fan bases, they wouldn't even be showing up to watch backups fucking play. And yet the faithful are still showing up and taking over stadiums. And so it's just awesome to see. Like awesome from our backups to come in and dominate. Awesome from the faithful to show up and take over stadiums, even considering everything that this season has thrown at us already. So yeah, it's just been a great season already so far. Give me
Uh,
that score prediction, Steph.
yeah, I'm gonna go 34-28 Bucks. Lost by
34
six.
28
I'm gonna
Bucks.
see if the reverse psychology works. Cause see, I went against the Niners last week as well. I know we didn't do our show, but in my previous show, I did. I went with the Rams. So maybe 2 weeks of going against the Niners. Maybe it'll mean they win.
That is true, Vish. It is going to be hard to tell because Tampa is red too.
Yeah.
So even if so, we'll just claim that it was all faithful. Like we don't give a shit what they're saying. Chat, give me your score predictions. I see Foot 31, 34, 31 at Niners. The first interception for the defense comes on Baker's last drive, trying to get the win. That'd be so awesome. Um, Let me see. What am I gonna go with, chat? Let's do. I'm going to go at 34-37 49ers.
Wow. You think the Niners could put up 37 points?
Don't question what I think, Steph,
Okay.
okay? I
Okay.
didn't question that you have the fucking Bucks winning, okay? So just keep your negative ass over there to look. So question
Uh
him.
oh, so you copied him.
I said mine first, but question him. Look, Lecky has 34 points to the 49ers. Question Lecky. Look what I gotta fucking deal with. You see what I gotta deal with around here? Look, Vish 24-29ers. Steph is the only one that doesn't believe. So let's just kick her off.
Wow.
Let me just remove her. So we don't need her negative ass in here anymore going against the 49ers, trying to put her negative shit on here. This is now the One Goat Show. So
Wow.
so we don't need that around here, Steph, okay?
But when they win, you guys could thank me because, like I said, it's the reverse psychology of it
Mhm.
all. When I
Mhm.
go against them, they win. You
Sure.
know how
Sure,
it
Steph.
works.
If that makes you sleep better tonight.
It will
Huh?
Sunday night.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. What else you got? Oh, see, Rob didn't want to copy now. Now he made him feel bad for copying. So,
What? Dang, he said low
um,
scoring.
what else you got going on, Steph?
All right, yeah. So tomorrow, gonna be doing my preview show with KP. We'll go through the favorable, unfavorable matchups in detail. Also, we'll have Desi on to talk about injuries. There'll be plenty, like anyone who's playing through injuries. What kind of limitations could we expect from them? So make sure you guys check that out tomorrow. Hit that notification bell so you know when I go live with that one. But yeah, shout out before we head out, Mariah. Shout out the live chat. Like it was popping today.
Yep.
So many of you kept the
Shout
live
out,
chat
chat.
like going. Appreciate you guys.
Yep. You guys are awesome, chat. As always, the best chat there is out there. And we appreciate you guys so much. Please make sure you guys like, subscribe, both channels, Steph49K, Faithfully in Vegas. And yeah, me and Steph, we're here every Thursday, Two Goat Show, same time, 3 Pacific time. And yeah, this is where you find us. We appreciate everybody that came through, everybody that was new that came through. You guys have been awesome. Mike, what's up? Appreciate you. And until next time, hope everybody has a safe and wonderful week. Let's get this dub, faithful. Let's get it.
Let's go.
If you're traveling to the game, please be safe out there. Stick with each other. And yeah, we appreciate y'all. Peace.